Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
Life is like a meme, my friends, like a meme. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders, because you have no idea just how memed you've been.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom.
I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and recently I've been watching a lot of these little videos, the former soon-to-be back again TikTok perhaps, the forwarded, shared videos from YouTube Shorts and Facebook Reels, and the list goes on and on. Social media, it's a way of driving the way we think. And in case you're curious about the way you think and whether or not you've been memed, let me just ask you to ponder for a moment. You've seen the video, surely, of the little kitten, cat, full-grown cat, I guess it is. It's sitting on the edge of the kitchen counter, and there's a bottle of liquid paper or whiteout, whatever you want to call it, sitting at the edge, and the cat's kind of playing with it, knocking it back and forth, and he gets it right to the edge of the counter, and he looks up, and there's the owner of the cat sitting on the couch watching the cat. And as the cat looks up and sees the owner watching him, the owner grabs a stuffed cat from under the coffee table and pulls off his shoe and begins pretending that the cat is knocking a cup off the coffee table. And as the cup falls to the floor, the owner grabs the shoe and smacks the stuffed cat in the head several times, and the real cat turns around and pushes the whiteout away from the edge of the table. Why? Well, because the cat has got the picture that if I was that stuffed cat and I knocked the cup off the table, then I would get the same treatment as the stuffed cat. And I'm not up for that. And there's another one that's very, very similar, but it's several dogs in a row, and the guy's trying to feed the dogs their medicine. Apparently, it looks like little capsules, not their dog food. And as he's giving each one of them, one of the dogs snarls and lays down and pulls his head back. He doesn't want to have anything to do with it. The owner does the same thing. He grabs a shoe. He grabs a stuffed puppy. He puts the fake pill in the puppy's mouth and chews it up. And the puppy gets stroked on the head, the stuffed puppy. But when the stuffed puppy spits it out, he gets a smack in the head with a shoe. Now the real puppy, he gets a clue. I don't want to be smacked like the stuffed puppy. I'm eating the pill. Are you catching on yet? I mean, we talk about narcissists and gaslighting. We talk about the way that we can kind of train people's behavior. I mean, if you can train your cat or your dog, I believe I've seen the same thing with babies and children. They're not even really able to verbally communicate so strongly yet, but they get the same impression. If you do that, there's going to be a price to pay. And I just wonder if the incentives of a sales rep, they have kind of the same thing, right? I mean, even if it's not profitable for the organization, if we need to sell a certain number of these items, we put an incentive on it. If we don't want behavior like that, we put a disincentive on it. You'll have to work overtime if you don't close your sales quota. If you don't get this number of items produced, then you're going to have to stay late, and then you'll have to get that production done somehow. Your time, my time, it's our time. It's all good for a pizza, says Piccoli. But if you're not behaving the way that those who pay you to behave or expect you to behave, if you're not behaving the way they intend for you to, there's a price to be paid. There are consequences. And sometimes those consequences are dire, and sometimes those consequences are annoying. But there's always consequences if you don't behave the way that they want you to behave. Now, let me also let you know that before the cat jumped on the counter and started playing with the little bottle of liquid paper or the glass of water or whatever it is the cat's playing with, the owner observed that behavior probably dozens of times before they ever thought there's got to be a way to solve this problem, to stop, to squelch, to alter this behavior. There's got to be some way that I could communicate to my cat, don't do that. I've seen people use water guns. I've known of people who just yell at their cat, which cats are narcissists, in case you haven't figured that out. They really don't care what you think. Now, apparently they're disinclined to violence, but generally speaking, they don't care about your opinion. If you want to pet them or don't want to pet them, they still have expectations and they will demand them of you. But see, that idea of being 2 or 3 steps ahead of the cat, of the kid, of the dog, of the population. Oh, wait. Yeah, of the population, of an entire mass of people, being 2 or 3 steps ahead of them. Or you might call that market research. But if you apply the rules of understanding predictive behavior and then instilling incentives in that predictive behavior so that through those incentives you can better predict the behavior. You can prevent what you don't want and cause or inspire or instigate or evoke what you do want. See, this is a masterful form of communication. It's a masterful form of leadership. It's also been used in some very nefarious ways. There are evidences, lots of them, that date back hundreds of years, where leaders, tyrannical and otherwise, have grasped the concept like a chess game. If I do this, then my opponent does that. And if I do this and my opponent does that, then I can do this. And if I back up enough steps, if I forecast forward enough steps, 1, 2, 5, 7, then I know based on statistics that the first 5 moves of a chess game can often indicate the level of expertise of your opponent. And those first 5 moves can not only indicate the level of expertise of your opponent, but if you're outmatched by them, those first 5 moves might be the end of your game. If you're the one who is the expert, if you are the one whose mind and experience and strategies are superior, well, then it might just be that you have already won the game in the first 5 moves, and it's evident. They may not know that, though. It may be that you're so good you already know when you do this, they're going to do that. I move my pawn forward 2 steps. Odds are, if you're just a novice, you're going to match it. If you're a superior expert, you may have a whole new strategy because you've seen these first 5 moves play out. But chances are you're going to kind of match it, and those 5 steps are both pre-positioning for a future strategy and bait. And because I have an idea what you're going to do when I do this, I'm waiting to see if you're going to do that or do something different. Now, I know when I play pool that I can shoot at a high enough level that I can clear the table. If there's a reasonable run, I can clear the table from the break of all 8 balls and you never get a shot. I'm competent and capable of that. I also know if I look at that table and I realize I've got 2 or 3 shots that are stuck, that I'm going to have to use some magic powwow on the cue ball to be able to get that ball free to hit the next shot, that I probably ought not try to clear all 4 of the others, because then I'm going to have no way to get powwow on the ball to get some kind of special something there to get the next shot free. I probably should leave at least 1 to use as the breakout. But that also means that I also now have to predict just how good are you. Have I seen you play before? If I leave you even 1 opening, are you going to clear the table? Are any of your shots restricted? Are you limited in the ability to take them out? And if the answer is no, then I better figure out a way to get all of mine off the table, the best of my ability, and not give you a shot. If I feel like there's a chance that you're going to miss 1, 2, 3, 4 shots, then I can strategize in my head. What does it mean to let them take 2 or 3 shots? And here's the one that always messes me up. I will lay out the whole plan in my head. I'm going to shoot this ball into the side and that one into the corner. Then I'm going to come back to this end and take this one in that corner, and then go across the table and take those 2 to the side with just a little bit of English. I can snap one and get the other one. And then you walk to the table and rearrange the entire table, and my entire plan goes out the window. And all of a sudden, a rank amateur defeats a phenomenal strategy. What if the cat knew that by you beating on the little stuffed cat, you were telling on yourself of a forward strategy that may or may not have any impact on the cat? What if the cat was planning that all along just to get your distracted attention, to pay more attention to the stuffed cat while he had something more nefarious up his furry little sleeve? And we don't expect that from our cat, right? I don't know. Have you read that if a person dies in a house, the cat's more likely to eat them than the dog? That's kind of scary. You think that cat's your friend. He thinks you're dinner. That's a whole different ballgame. What you think he thinks and what he actually thinks, those might be two totally different things. But see, this strategizing, this long gameplay, this infinite game concept, when you start twisting in propaganda and memes and expectations and short and long-term strategies, what you find very quickly is that there are some people playing a game and they don't even know they're in the game. They're the pawns of the game. They're the tools of the game. They're the ones being used for somebody else's strategy to win against another opponent. And you think you're the opponent. You think, I'm in this game. I'm winning. I'm making a difference. I'm gaining some ground. I took 7 of his players off the board. Look at me. And all the while he's thinking, yeah, but see, as soon as I defeat you, the Grandmaster's next. And once I take you down, it'll be a whole lot easier. And in fact, if I beat you handily enough, only the very best will challenge me. That's good money and good reputation. If I beat you handily enough, nobody else in the room wants to play. I've taken them off the board. They're out of the competition. They're not even a threat anymore. I don't have to worry about some yahoo coming up here and rearranging the table on me. Let me take this concept a little bit further. I'm going to tell you an old joke. You probably heard this joke, but I want you to look at it through a new lens today. There's the story of a guy who wants to take his pig to the fair. Now, this is an award-winning pig already, but he knows the bigger the fatter the pig, the more the pig sells for at the end of the day. But he can win awards at the fair if the pig is fat. And so he begins to feed the pig a lot. And then he sticks a cork in the pig's backside so that the pig continues to maintain and gain and gain and gain, and he becomes a very large, hefty pig. And by the time the fair comes along, surely he wins all the awards and he sells for a hefty price. And just about the time he's on the auction block, the cork comes out. There's pig poo everywhere. The world is covered in pig poo. It's a disastrous, smelly mess. And of course, who's the first on scene? That would be the journalist. And the journalist runs to someone who's in tears and they said, "What did you see?" They were like, "Pig poo everywhere. There's so much poo. It was so horrific. I think I'm going to have PTSD from the pig poo. I will never be able to smell a pig the rest of my life. Bacon is off the menu. Oh my gosh, it's devastating." They went to the next guy. "Oh, what did you see?" "Pig poo everywhere. I can't believe somebody would do that to that poor pig. What a horrific experience for that pig to live through that cork. And oh my gosh, it was terrible." And they go to the third person, and the third person was laughing hysterically. And they're like, "Boy, what are you laughing at? Everybody else is devastated. This is a horrible scene. What a mess. What a terrible thing to do to an animal. Why are you laughing?" And they said, "Well, it's the funniest thing I've ever seen, watching the monkey try to put the cork back in the pig's butt." And the perspective of the hysterical one, not the hysteria, not the fear, not the anxiety, not the horrified reaction, but the hysterical. What if the only news report you heard was from the one who said, "I'm going to have PTSD from the pig poo," and all of the other aspects of the story were left out, hidden, deleted, bleach bit, whatever. All the details are gone. The only story being told by anybody is how horrific it was that the world was covered in pig poo. Well, what if the only story you heard was just how poorly that poor pig was treated? The pig's poor treatment, that's the only story you hear. And you don't know that there were some people actually laughing at the event, and you don't know that some people were traumatized by the event. Everything is through the lens of the one who empathizes with the poor poor pig. What if the only story you heard was the journalist's account of the person who was laughing hysterically at the cork going back in its place? What if the journalist was playing chess with the story they decided to tell you? What if the journalist was like the guy with his shoe, using the stuffed cat to demonstrate to the cat, you'll behave the way I want you to, or there will be consequences? How many times have you heard a story and thought to yourself, wow, I'm glad that wasn't me. I'm glad I wasn't in on that. I wasn't there for that storm. I didn't get treated that way. I want you to back up for a moment. I want you to think of Michael Brown and George Floyd and all the other major news stories where the journalist only told us the story from the poor, pitiful victim. I'm not saying they weren't victims. I'm just asking, is there a chance there was another side to that story? And would the other side of that story have been relevant? Should we consider other details besides the only thing I saw was the trauma of the poor pig? Not the trauma of the people around, not the hilarity of the monkey and the cork, just the trauma of the pig. If that's the only story we were told, would it change the way we see the story, interact with the story, feel about the story, do something about the story? You have to answer that question for yourself, right? Let me go one step further, though. What if the whole corking of the pig was a chess move 5 or 6 plans away? If we do this, then they'll do that, then they'll do this, and we'll do that. And we'll know 5 moves from now how they're going to react. What if? There was a weather change that caused a big event that was intended to be outside. They said there could be 100,000, maybe as many as 250,000 people who traveled to this big event. They had tickets. They bought plane tickets. They bought hotel reservations. They bought special clothes. They attended all the banquets and the galas. They traveled to this big event only to find that it's going to be 13 degrees outside with a wind chill. Probably not a good time to be standing outside. And so the big event was moved inside. Now there's not room for 250,000 people. There's only room for 500 or 600. That leaves 249,500 people out of the convenience of a whole lot of expense and some really high expectations. And all of those expectations are going to go away. And many of them thought, well, at least I'll go to the scene of where I would have seen what I intended to see, and I'll check the place out. There was a lot of people that went to that same scene a few years ago just to check the place out. We're still in jail. They got memed. Now, some of them went with nefarious intent, and some of them did some really bad and stupid things while they were there, and some of them literally just went to get a selfie, to say, I was here, to take a picture, to take a tour. And they got memed. In fact, some of them are still getting the stuffed cat treatment, even today. And I just wonder, is there any chance that 4, 5, 6, 7 chess moves down the road, we're going to find ourselves in a place where the stuffed cat behavior of those people who went to take a tour, take a lot of photos, take a little selfies, hang out with some friends? I wonder if we're going to find ourselves in a place where that reaction, that expectation, that stuffed cat meme moment plays itself out. I wonder if what's being communicated to us is, you will take the pill, stuffed doggy. You will leave that on the counter, little kitty. You will do what I told you to, or there will be consequences. You will not show up here taking pictures unless I tell you to. Now, from what I understand, there are a lot of those 249,500 people who showed up there looking for the opportunity to at least take a picture in the place where this big event was supposed to happen. And I wonder if they got stuffed cat, or if they got the attention they wanted. See, some of them actually went to the people who offered them tickets and said, hey, you said I could come, and I came, but now what I came for isn't going to happen, so can I at least get a little sneak peek into what's going to happen? That is a meme. That's the stuffed cat meme that I'm talking about. That's the, what if the behavior is predictive behavior? What if they're telling you you have to behave in a certain way? You've got to do exactly what I tell you to. And so they're controlling the narrative, the story they've chosen. Do you hear traumatized people or traumatized pigs or the funniest thing I've ever seen? I can't tell you what to think. And in all honesty, I can't tell you what they're thinking. But I can tell you this. The manipulation, the prediction, the predicted behavior, the memeness of the whole thing, it is not without plan. Somebody knew it was happening. Somebody planned it on purpose. Somebody was a part of it. There might be some evidence that hasn't been destroyed that would kind of prove that point. There might be a chance to go, yeah, I kind of knew that all along, except that some of that, well, it's already been pardoned, and some of it's already been destroyed, and some of it's, the purpose of the lie was different than the actual lie. But the purpose wasn't achieved, and so they're trying to hide the evidence that they lied. And the cat didn't respond to being smacked in the head. That little stuffed kitty is not enough. 1,500 people paying the price of the stuffed kitty so that the rest of us won't react the same way. And yet, it hasn't had the effect they wanted it to. That's why there's people there right now taking selfies, taking pictures, taking tours in the same building for the same purpose, for the same reason, in the same mood. That's just odd to me. Life is like a meme. And if you're not careful, somebody's going to predict your behavior and then teach you how you're supposed to respond like a stuffed kitty. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. I encourage you to go to StoryPowerAcademy.com and check it out. Look at the different classes, the different levels, the different things that are available. You can take a lot of them a la carte. But spend some time there and see if that's the kind of thing that would change the way you communicate as a leader, as a pastor, as a counselor, as a political leader. And if that will help you, I'd love to have a conversation with you. Again, only 10 people in the elite speakers. You will have to apply for that. But if you're a candidate, I'd love to have that conversation with you. I'm J Loren Norris with Story Power Academy. I look forward to seeing you inside.